So according to a bunch of new comments on my channel, this song, Shoka, I think I might be saying that right, is the first song that Ado has written all on her own, composed it. This is gonna be good. The super quirky, edgy electric that sounds like it's coming out of an asylum. So, I've said this on other songs, but I love how I can be like this at one point, and she's causing all sorts of like angst and uneasiness in me, and then with a flip of her voice, a change in character, I relax and I release all this tension. She evokes so many different emotions in her singing, and it rubs off on the listener. Like if you're actively listening to one of her songs, you can't help but be like, and follow that train of emotions. Seriously, there's so many guitar layers in there. Gotta listen to that part again. There's like 5 different vocal postures in that one line. I hear how it's like back and Of course I sound terrible doing it. I'm not trying to sound good. I'm just trying to experiment with my own voice and like place it for inspiration. But listen to how it's like, sort of this, kind of a Kermit sound. And then she brings it forward and distorts it a little bit. Belted, bright, distorted, nasal, crowd, all in one little phrase. I should probably turn captions on. I'm feeling prompted to pause just based on some of the subtitles I see going by and just read through the lyrics. This seems like a heavy song. I don't usually do this, but I think this is important. By hurting others, are you looking to be rewarded? I end up singing about my arrogant ego. Singing about her ego. What an interesting amount of self-awareness that she's demonstrating here. The words I once loved have been destroyed. The voice I've built up is the wrong answer for this world. Man, Ado, I don't think so. I think it's a needed voice for this world. I hate the face of not knowing anything. Even if I lined up words lovelier than a pre-dawn dream, fireworks in the city withers beautifully. Well, that translated in an awesome way. That was, wow. Words I couldn't say before keep pouring out endlessly. Even if wishes are granted, nothing really changes. Promises once made get forgotten. Won't you kill? Whoa. This is a dark song. Speaking about her voice, if ethics create reasoning, is this hoarse voice righteousness? If correctness always turns into kindness, Ooh, and then, we want to hear how this isn't. See, this is giving me so much more of a connection to why she sounds the way she sounds. I don't know anything, so here I am singing. Well, let's see how this materializes. But wow. Forgive me if I get overly exuberant and excited about her voice, her vocal technique, her presentation, the production. I really am so excited about every sound she makes. But now knowing these lyrics, going into listening to the rest of the song, and in the visuals, the blurred out representation of social media, the isolation right here in this picture of her being on her phone, distance from the people that are next to her and all the devices, even though they're close to her. This is a song of torment, of isolation, of confusion, and being trapped by technology and its influence on us and the ugly parts of human nature that it brings out in us. Timely. There's so much going on in terms of connecting each note and each phrase with sighs. It's kind of like that, except for way more artistic because she's putting lyrics behind it. But doing a drill like that, yeah, la la, trying to sing a melody but cracking little bits in between each note does so much for your vocal agility and your ability to change energy, not just change notes, but change energy. Even in passing, doing little things like that with your voice is going to help you sort of approach the mastery that are her vocalizations. Listen to how she came out of that tell me. No, not at all like that. She leans into it on she. Listen with she. She. And then it gets really bright and brash. Now, I can't do it up in that range, so I'm going to lower it a little bit so I can show you the approach. We'll put it right there. So we're going to take it from back, like I was talking about earlier, and then we're going to practice moving it forward over the same vowel. And we're going to slant it into an eh slightly. Then as she's going from the as she's slanting that, she adds this grit to it. It's a compress, like lifting something heavy. There's my belt. And we've heard her do this in other songs, but then she lets it fall apart and adds another layer of grit. Listen carefully. This grit is based on a sigh or an airiness to the sound. Okay. Like that. A little bit more sigh. If you're intrigued by how Ado uses her voice and inspired by her music, and you'd like to take a step in experiencing your own voice in a new way and finding out what it can really do, click the link below and join my free course. I'll help you pull things out of your voice you never knew were there. You can find it in the pinned comment or the video description. Oh. was one of those moments where you're kind of like this, and then she exits up into her head voice, and she's free and darker. And it just makes you go. You can feel the stress melting away as she's building up that tension. Earlier. No, it's not. Hate the face. Not knowing anything. Listen to that distortion sound on her voice. That's a cool production trick. More on that in another video, but she's singing a certain way into a plugin, and then they're adding a layer of distortion over it to get that broken up, almost guitar-like sound with her voice. But notice how it's only happening when she leans in to the sound. It's like clean, and then when she leans in a bit more, it gets a bit brighter, a bit more aggressive on the mic, it starts to distort more. That's a really cool effect. Lots of times on distortion effects on songs, the distortion is very static. It doesn't move, but static or the same has never been the right approach for Ado. It's gotta be dynamic. That is a really cool sound. That was a fun effect. A really fast tremolo effect, maybe? This puts her ability and her evolution happening right before our very eyes on a whole other level for me. You can hear influences in the melodies and the production and all the other experiences she's had as an artist with the co-writers and co-producers and all this stuff. And then you hear what's happening here. And I realize she's probably had help with this mix too. But wow, it just shows you how much that she's able to learn, practice, internalize, turning inspiration even from her other stuff. I love it. This is what I like to see. This is what I like to hear from artists. She's going to have a long career. Listen to that approach on that note. And then the way the delay hits it. And then the delay like expands the sound. Subtle, cool things happening. What's interesting though, particularly on a note like this. Listen to the approach too. How distorted that first note was, and then she cleaned it up. You can tell that she's leaning into ideas for vocal production, like the overall sound of her voice, as she's performing, right? She leans into that distorted sound with the way she adds distortion to her voice, and then she purifies it as she knows there's this hole. This is composition, right? This is composition. As she knows there's this hole for the vocals to shine in the arrangement and then that delay to happen. So this isn't just like arbitrary stuff where some guy's adding effects to her voice after she sang. At least I don't think so. This is all very planned from a compositional standpoint. Light, playful, yet assertive. from desperate, distorted, pent up, that constant tension release, call and respond, artistically baiting you as the listener with vocal technique, but vocal technique that is so connected to what she's feeling. Woo. Nice. I love the different layers of guitar tones in there. It sounds like different players, the way that they've placed it in the mix, but also the way that things are played. It's a looming, sort of ominous sound that's coming from the lead guitars. I'm noticing a lot more in the vocal effects and production than I have in most of her other songs. I may have to do a video just on Ado's effects. This is so cool. Let's listen to that sequence again, how she built that, both vocally and production-wise. There's like 3 different types of distortions going on, how it gets ratcheted up as she gets more intense in her vocals. Maybe it's just one, but the way she approaches it triggers more and more intensity out of that distortion. Sounds so cool. So cool. Here, the vocals are a little bit cupped there. I don't know anything, so here I am singing. She's singing about her singing and all the things and emotions and connections wrapped up in that. Hear that sequence again, too. So long and proper sounding, and then has that little sheeny, distorted sound. It's not too intense yet. And then she makes it more intense as she holds out the scream, and she says, "I screamed." Oh, I breathe, listen. And you hear the breath. They accentuated the breath in the mix. They didn't delete the breath. It's like right there. And then she goes into the scream. Not yet. Oh! Here she sighs into it. And you hear the sighs in between almost every note. Like I was talking about before. Let's build that sound. We're gonna sigh into a clean note. like that. And then once we feel that note clean, we're going to let it falter just a little bit. As we add more support. Here I can like turn up the distortion by letting it falter, by sighing while I hold the note. I'm compressing an airiness over the clean note. That's a great way to think about it. And I can make it more and more brutal the more air or the more brokenness I add to the note. But it's about compressing. That's why she's able to like turn it up. It's not like an on or an off for her. She's keeping it at a nice medium hot here. Anyway, that's how you get that technique. More on her effects. I'm going to have to spend a whole other video on her effects. I think that's going to be really interesting for a lot of you. But that's what's going on vocally. Whether she knows it or not, she's probably figured out a lot of this stuff just intuitively, and she'd probably have her own ways of explaining it. I would love to talk with her too and see what's going on in her mind as she develops all of these types of sounds. But that's my best analysis based on what I've learned about my voice and listening to her so far. She cleans it up actually at the end. Right? So, just chaotic sound. Okay, wait. Lyrics and music. Yep. Amazing sounds. Love the noises too. Huh? That's cool. The depth of this arrangement, song, the quirky singing about singing idea. So cool. So cool. Thank you so much for alerting me to the new arrival of this song, everybody. I'm going to keep following Ado, keep making suggestions for new videos I should do for her. Again, if you would like help working with your own voice in this kind of playful, non-judgmental, freeing way, click that link below in the video description or pinned comment and join my free course. Here's a playlist on lots of other Ado videos I've done. We'll see you for more.